In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a new rainbow loom double unity bracelet. It's the same concept as the original unity bracelet, only this time we'll be using 3 rows of the loom instead of just 2. So you want to have your loom set up with the pins in a staggered position so that they are not in line with one another, and you want to have the arrows facing away from you. You need to choose your colors. I've chosen black for the pattern of the bracelet, and you will need 48 bands for this. And then I've chosen rainbow colors in neon for the main part of the bracelet, and you will need 50 bands for this. Now in this video, I'm just going to be using one single band for the background of the bracelet, but in most of my previous videos, I do use 2 bands at once, and I do prefer that because it makes the bracelet thicker and helps it to hold its shape better. But a lot of people have been asking me if they could just use one band for the background, and it does take a lot of bands to make these bracelets, so I have decided to just show it with one single band. So you're going to start with the color or colors that you've chosen for the pattern first. And again, you want the arrows to be facing away from you. We're going to start on the row to the right, and the first band placement is going to go diagonally up to that center row. And then from that same pin, you're going diagonally up again. And now from here, we're going to work our way back down, from here to the middle, and then again to the bottom. We're just going to zigzag our way up the loom, but we're doing it across the 3 rows of pins. And now from the center, it's going up again. And then from here, back into the center, and then over to the right, and then back up again, and now back to the middle and to the right. So we're just working our way up the loom. Back to the middle, and that's where I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to go back to the start again with the arrows facing away, and this time I'm going to cross over. So this time I'm going to be starting on the left hand row, and again I'm going to just zigzag my way up and down across all 3 rows. And if you wanted to, you could choose a second color to go over top of this, so they would just keep crossing over one another. If you do use 2 different colors, it will be easier when you're looping the bands to see which one to grab. Since I'm using all of the same color, it will be a little bit harder to know which ones to grab when I'm in the middle. So if this is the first time you're making it, I would suggest using 2 different colors for the zigzag pattern here. And you also want to be pushing these bands down as you're putting them on, because we will have to be adding more bands on top. And that will be my last placement here. I'm not going to the very ends. And now I'm going to go back to the start again. And now I'm ready to start placing my background bands. So I have all the different colors, but you may just choose one single color to use as the background, and that's fine. So I'm going to be starting on this center pin, and I'm going to be just using single bands for this video, but also you can use 2 bands at once if you want a thicker look. I'm going to go to the row on the right. I'm going to start in that center pin and go to the row on the left. Again, you want the bands to be pushed down that you already placed on, and these bands that you're adding need to stay on top. And then from here, I'm going to move forward. And I'm going to be doing a second row of pink. So from the right hand side, I'm just moving forward. From the left hand side, I'm moving forward. And then in the center. And then I'm going to switch my colors. So now I'm going to do orange. Again, I'm just going in all 3 rows. And I'm going to be doing 2 sets of each color. So I'll be doing my second set of orange. And now I'm going to switch to yellow. And then do a second yellow. And now I'm on to green. Again, you want those bottom bands to be pushed down as you're adding this background on the top. And now a second set of green bands. And now I'll switch to blue. And then another blue. And then finally I will do purple. And then a second set of purple bands on all 3. And then finally, I want the right hand side, I want the last band to come in. Again, I'm sticking with purple. And then on the left hand side, again, move it into the center. And now I'm going to turn the loom around so that the arrows are facing towards me. And now I want to place the cap bands on. So for this, I'm going to, on this very center pin, I'm going to put a doubled band. To do this, you want to place it on your hook, twist, and put it back on, and then place it right on the top. And now for the rest of the bands, I'm going to work my way up. I'm going to keep the same color together with what's underneath. So I'm going to stretch this band from the left-hand side down to the right and also into the center. So it's going to make a triangle. Again, you want all of the bands that are underneath to be pushed down so you have room to add this on top. So I'll do a second purple. And now I will switch to blue. Just going to work my way up, making this triangle. And now green. And now yellow. And then orange. and finally pink. Just going to do one here. I'm not going to do it on the very end. And now again I want to go back to the start, and it's time to start looping the bands. So what you're going to do is you're going to start in the center, and you can see on this pin there are 2 bands at the top. That's the cap band that we just doubled, and then the next band is going to go out to the right, the next band is going to go to the left, and the last band is going to move forward. So you want to take your hook and put it down in the middle, push back with the back of your hook on the 2 bands, grab that next band. You want to hold your cap band in place, move this band out and to the right. You're going back down through, pushing back on those 2 cap bands, grabbing that next band, moving that out to the left, finally going back down, pushing back on the cap bands, getting that center band to move forward. And now we're just going to work our way up the left side of the loom. So you can see that there is this cap band that's in the shape of a triangle on all of the pins, and it's just one single band. So you always want to make sure that you're going down in through the center of the pin and you're pushing back on the cap band. In this case we have the bands that we also just moved onto this pin. So there's going to be 3 bands on top that you want to push back on. You're grabbing that next band, taking it out and moving it forward, and now I'm going back down through this same pin, getting the black band and moving that forward. And now we're going to go down through the center of this pin. Again, you're pushing back on that single cap band. You want to grab that next purple band, or whichever color your background is, and move it ahead. And now we're going back down through, and this time there's going to be 2 bands on that pin. What you want to grab is the very bottom band, get it on your hook, again move it forward. Go down through this next pin, push back on that cap band, you're grabbing the band on the top, getting it out and forward, and then you're going back down through the same pin. Again, you want to ignore that upper band and grab just that bottom one and move that forward. On to the next one, you're pushing back on the cap band, getting that top band, back down through for the bottom band and moving that ahead. Again, push back on the cap band, grab that upper band, go back down through for just that bottom one. So you're just repeating this same pattern, always grabbing that top band and then going back down through for the bottom. You're always making sure that your hook is in the very center of the pin, so the cap band is always behind your hook. So pushing back, grabbing the top, going back down through, pushing back on the cap band and the other black band to just get at that bottom. So once you do a couple of them, you should get the hang of it. You're not dealing with too many bands on each pin. If you have your bands doubled, it will be a little bit harder, or a few more bands to deal with. Going back down through, pushing back, grabbing that top pink, and going back down through for the bottom black. And then at the top here, you're taking the pink and moving it into the middle. There's no cap band here, and you're grabbing that only band on that pin at the bottom and moving that to the middle. So now you're going to go back to the start here. And now we're going to just work our way up the right side of the loom this time. So again, on this first pin, you're going down through, pushing back on those top 3 bands, and you have the top band to move forward, going back down, grabbing that bottom band, there's only one, and moving that ahead. And now we start the same pattern. You're pushing back on the cap band, grabbing that top purple band and moving it ahead, and going back down through for that very bottom band and moving that forward. Again, pushing back. This time you want the blue. And coming back down for that bottom black. Again, we're getting the top. And now going back down for the very bottom. And we're just going to continue on. Back down through for that bottom band. Now when you are just dealing with single bands, they are a little bit weaker as you're pulling them up through. I find that when you have 2 bands at once, they are stronger. So hopefully you have bands that are of a good quality and they're not going to be breaking on you as you're pulling them up through. Now I'm going back down for the bottom. Again, I'm pushing back. I want that bottom black. And then again. Push back, getting that top. And then going back down through for the bottom. Make sure you're in the middle. You can usually tell if you've messed up and your hook isn't in the middle. It doesn't feel right. Again, pushing back. Now we have the pink. And then back down through for the black. And now on this one, we're going down through. There's no cap band. Getting the pink and moving it to the middle. And then the black. So this center pin is going to get pretty full. We want to push this down. And now we're going to go back to the start again, and we just have that center row to loop the bands, but this is going to be the hardest one. So from the center here, we've already moved this one forward on the end. So you're going down through. You want the colored band, or whichever you're working with for a background, to come forward. And now on this pin we have 4 bands. In my case, they're all black. So what you want is the second band to move forward, and you want the 4th band, which is on the bottom, to move forward. So if you've done your zigzag with 2 different colors, it's much easier to see the bottom of the one color and the bottom of the second color. But since we have all black, it is going to be more difficult. But I'm going to reach down through, push back on the top band, and grab the second band and move that forward. I'm going back down through, This time I want the very bottom band, so I'm pushing back on all but the bottom and move that forward. Again, I'm going to do that same thing. First, I want the background band to move forward. They're not always that easy to separate. That's going to move forward. And now I want the second band, so I'm pushing back, getting the first band behind my hook, getting that second band to move forward, going back down through, pushing back. Now I have two bands behind my hook, and getting that bottom band to move up. So again, I have the background band, pushing back on that top band and moving forward the second band, pushing back on those other two bands, getting the very bottom and moving forward. So I don't know if you can see it that well, but on the top, that's moving forward, pushing back on that next band that's on the top pattern band, grabbing that second band and moving up, back down, pushing back on now the top band and the third band, getting that bottom fourth band to move forward. As I've said, if you're dealing with two different colors, it will be much easier to see. Now you're going back down through the same one. You're pushing back on that upper band and grabbing the second, moving forward, and then grabbing the bottom one and moving forward. On to the next, I have yellow to move up, and then going back down through for that second band, and then back down again for the bottom. Moving that background band forward. Now the second band and the bottom. Now I'm on to orange. Grabbing that second band and moving forward, back down for the bottom. Now we have orange again. The second band and the bottom. Now we're on to pink. Almost done here. Have that second band and then the bottom. And last one here, I have pink. Pushing back on the top band, getting the second one, going back down through, pushing back, and the bottom. And we're done the looping. So finally what we're going to do before we take it off of the loom is to take your hook, reach down inside, and push it out. I'm going to take another black band, put it on my hook and bring it up through. If you twist your hook as you're doing it, it will help from snagging other bands you don't want. And then put that end back on your hook. And then you can very carefully take it off of the loom. Now this end pin is very full, so that will be the hardest to release. So you're just going to carefully do this. Make sure that they're all coming off as you're coming down, because if one of the bands wants to hang on to the pin, it's going to get really bent out of shape. And that definitely does happen. And also make sure that these two ends stay on your hook as you're taking it off. And then here's what it looks like. So what you're going to do is, again, hold these in place. You can stretch this how you like it to make everything get back in shape, because they do get a little bit bent out as you're taking it off. So I always play around with the bands a little bit till I'm satisfied with how it looks. And so there it is. It's a little bit harder to see since I used all one color, but the bands cross over each other. If you use two different colors, you can see that pattern a little bit better. And then on the flip side, this is what it's going to look like. It has this single chain on the end, and then it has a double chain down the center. And if you use two different colors for your zigzag part as they crossed over each other, this will have the two colors together in the center. And as you can see, it's not going to be long enough to fit around your wrist, so you will need to add an extension. So in order to do that, you want to just put this aside for now. And you want to take your loom with the arrows facing away from you. And then you want to take your color. I'm just going to use black. You can do multicolor or whatever you'd like. You want to start on the right hand row, or really anywhere, but I'm going to do it on the right. And you're just going to place that band to the next pin. And then take the next band and just keep following it up. I'm going to use 4 bands for this part. And now I'm going to take these 2 bands that are on my hook and slide them on. And then just move this forward just so it's easier to grab. I'm going down through the middle, taking this out and moving it back. Just keep working back towards myself. And then I'm going to take my hook, go down through the middle, and pull this off of the loom. I'm going to take a clip. I have an S clip here. Just going to get those 2 loose ends on. I'm going to take another band, and I'm going to take my hook and go through this other end. Should have a nice circle there. That was your cap band. Going to place this through and then put it back on the hook. Again, set this aside. And now again, I'm going to do 4 more bands for the other side. Again, the same way with the arrows facing away, just one right after the other. Again, taking these 2 bands, getting them on the hook. I'm just going to stretch this out so it's easier to grab. Just go down inside and pull back towards yourself. So you get to the end. Again, reach down in through the middle and pull it off. And now you can take the other end of the clip and hook those 2 ends through. So I always just show a single chain for the extension, but you can do a double cross fishtail or any other kind of thicker, fancier chain extension if you want. And so here is your bracelet. And here is another one that I made using the same pattern. This time I used red and blue for the zigzag pattern part, and I used white for the background. I also used 2 looms to create this, so it should be long enough to fit around your wrist without any extensions. And you can see what the other side looked like. You can see how it alternates on the sides and then has the 2 colors together in the middle. So that is called the Double Unity Bracelet. And I hope that everyone enjoyed this tutorial. You can always leave me comments on YouTube or Facebook. You can post pictures of your creations on my Facebook page. Feel free to sign up for my YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on all of my new videos. I also have a Pinterest, and I'm just in the process of getting an Instagram set up. Thanks, and have a great day.